Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Uniquely Divine podcast. I'm Caryn Slack, and this is Danielle Graham, and we are excited to share this video podcast with you to explore all sorts of stuff. So before we get into our goals and intentions for the podcast, let's introduce ourselves for those of you who don't know us. I'm Caryn Slack. I support people in understanding their unique spirituality, help them understand themselves spiritually and emotionally a little bit deeper. And I like to help them connect with that light. We all have a light inside, and I enjoy supporting people and connecting with that divine light inside. And I do that through the use of intuitive readings, guided meditations, and energy work. So I'm excited to be here with you. Danielle, welcome. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thanks for doing it with me.
Absolutely.
I'm Danielle Graham, owner of Divine Clarity, and I assist people in navigating past stuck points in their lives, like grief or unclarity, uncertainty, through compassion, guidance, and a connection to truth. I do this through different modalities as well, like mediumship, all sorts of card readings, intuitive readings, soul guidance, and energy work.
Fantastic. So what happened with this podcast is Danielle and I have been having conversations for, I don't even know how many years, and connecting. We've worked within the intuitive development group that she created, and I get to be the admin of, and we help support people through that. And we've had a ton of great conversations, and we want to be able to bring these conversations to you. And we have some goals for what we would like to bring to this podcast, but we also invite you to share with us what you would like to hear from us. So as you get to know us in this environment, share with us what you would like to hear more about. I know for me, some of my goals and intentions for this podcast are to help us understand our spiritual self better, and what that looks like and how it's unique to us, and also how we can accept those differences from how we experience it versus how others experience, and busting some of the myths and understanding life. How about you, Danielle?
There's so many myths. I think that's the one I'm most excited about, and I don't think that's going to be one episode. I think we're going to be busting myths like along the way. I really, really love that one. One of the ones for me was letting go of those should be's, and the way you think you should be, or you should be acting, or and it sort of goes in with your divine expression, your unique divine expression of each other too. Digging deeper into shadow work, the things that help us learn and grow that a lot of people want to avoid because it's just not fun, but it's so empowering and rewarding too. And again, I really just, people have so many questions out there, and I'm just open to anything any topic anyone brings to our attention.
Fantastic. I love the excitement when you talk about this stuff. And I think that's one thing that we have shared is excitement with each other. Like when we are listening to each other, or we work through some of that shadow work with each other, there's this excitement when you click into that understanding. And I've seen it in Danielle, and I've experienced it myself, and just in general conversation, we've experienced it. So we're excited to share that with you. So
we start getting really loud and animated. Sorry for yelling, but I'm just so excited.
Absolutely. And I think it's good to have permission to get excited. You know what I mean? Like we were having a conversation just before we started about how life's intense these days. There's a lot going on around us, and it's important for us to find those things that make us excited. And when we can excited for what we are working through and understand it deeper, then it gets to shift it from a problem or a shadow to divine wisdom that we get to pull on. And I think there's something beautiful that happens in the soul when we get to do that.
I got chills when you started talking about that. I think with so much fear and anxiety that is going around, people need permission to know it's okay to be excited about something.
Yes,
It's okay
absolutely.
to be happy and celebrate something. We don't have to all fall into this lower vibrational behaviors or thoughts. We can be excited, we can create new things.
So two things popped in my mind when you were talking about that. This one I want to set in the back burner to discuss in a minute. I would love to discuss what brought us to what we do. But one thing you said yesterday to me has stuck with me, and I think I shared it with somebody earlier when I was having a conversation. You said that it's not that we just get to allow happiness into our life, but we are supposed to experience happiness within our life. And that seems to be a message that has run through some of the readings that I've done recently, my own lessons and meditations. And for you to say that, it just like it drove that point home, that it's not only that we get to experience joy and happiness in those higher vibrations in our life, but we're supposed to. I just love that. So thank you for sharing that with me yesterday.
You're welcome. It's so funny because yesterday I actually used something you said to me. And of course, I can't remember exactly how you said it, so I had to paraphrase it. But it was so powerful to me that, and maybe you can say it again in the correct way, but the whole, you don't need a plan B if plan A is that fire that's calling to your soul. And that's the kind of way I explained it to someone I was reading who is faced with a choice that she needs to make. Yep. And when you said that, I was like, oh, God, that was just so powerful. Do you remember how you said it to me?
I don't remember specifically, but I do know it was actually a reel that I watched on Instagram or a video I watched somewhere. And I apologize. I don't remember where I watched it to give credit to them, but they talked about how if we have a plan B, does that take away from our ability to invest fully into plan A? In the idea that sometimes you have to surrender yourself fully to plan A, and finding that trust and finding that surrender, that can be a challenge. But when we're able to do that it leaves us with no option but to prosper within that plan. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Yes.
I appreciate that notion because that's something that I have been navigating for the past year, working on getting my intuitive and spiritual business, expanding that and growing that and building that, figuring out what that looks like for me, and shifting from being in the salon industry for 20 years, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, however many hours a week, to navigating this new platform. It really has been a question. It's like the universe is asking me to commit to plan A. And do you need a plan B, or are you truly committed to plan A? And I think sometimes we are asked to, life experience brings us to the question of, are we fully committed to this, and why? Not just are you, but why? Because the why is so important as well. So,
it really is. I think this could be a topic for a moment. Absolutely. Yesterday I had posted on my business page something about, I know something good has happened to you in 2021. Let's not talk about the negative. Let's talk about the positive. And I had seen that on someone else's page, and so many people talked about making changes, leaving bad relationships when you're forced to be together for so long and just if it's working or if it's not, leaving bad relationships, leaving toxic jobs, so many things, so many changes, so many people were forced into trusting their plan A, and it's worked out. And most of them, if not all, I don't remember seeing any negative comments about it, but we're really happy about it, really glad they did.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think that the end of the year has been a release of leftover stuff from, are you choosing plan A, to now in 2022, okay, we've chosen plan A, let's move forward with that. And I think that there is fear and anxiety that comes with that. But when you're committed to trusting in plan A, and there's passion in it, and you're excited about it, the anxiety that you have or the fears that you have, yes, they may still be there, but it's an experience you're invested in. So you're willing to move through those fears to commit to plan A because it just feels right.
Well, it's also a different type of fear. It's not fear, this is scary, this can hurt me. It's fear, I don't know what's ahead. This could be really great. And am I ready for that? There's two totally different types of fears. But yeah, that's a really good point. And it's okay that it's scary. Change is scary. Even good change is scary.
And I like the idea that, because one thing I think we both have said to each other multiple times through all of our conversations is that I like that we get to give space to whatever we're feeling, whatever we're experiencing, because it's all part of the whole big picture. And I love the idea that this podcast gets to be, I got goosebumps like head to toe. I get this podcast gets to be a unique space where we get to experience that divine expression of how that looks. And we get to gain that clarity of who we are on all levels and why we are that way. I don't know, that I eat that stuff up. So
and I want people to be watching us and go, hey, yeah, I feel like that. You're not alone.
Absolutely. Very cool. See, I'm even more excited about it now that we're talking about it. I love it.
See, that's choosing your plan A, going with it and getting excited.
Exactly. So share with us a little bit about what brought you to your spirituality and your work, if you don't mind.
I actually like talking about it because I think people have a preconceived notion. I myself did for many years when I was younger, that people who did what we do were just born that way. And, like everything just worked out and it just happened in this linear fashion. And for me, I tell people my spirituality and my business was like a bowl of spaghetti. Like so much intertwined and just like a hot mess when you're trying to spoon it up on your fork. But
I so get you. Go ahead.
I have been in and out my entire life. And I firmly believe, I tell this to my clients, I say it all the time, when you need to pay attention to earthly things, spiritual things kind of slow down because you need to do what you need to do. So when I got married, when I had our daughter, things were very slow for me because I needed to put all my attention there, my job, my household, all that stuff. And as she started to get older and needed less of my attention, then my spirituality started ramping up even more. So I also went through some trust issues, which is not good when you are doing spiritual work. So when I did some self-work, some shadow work and helped myself with that, that's when everything really started to blossom. So I would say only for the past, forget how long it's been, maybe 8 or 9 years that I've really been into it and doing the business for part-time, probably 4 to 5 years. But I've always had the desire to help people grow, to help people get stronger. And I did that with them physically. I was a nurse in nursing for a while. I was a CNA. I moved to restorative personal training. And now I closed that business last year, went with my plan A all the way and opened this business full time. And to me, it just kind of came full circle. Like it's helping people body, mind, and spirit now, that 3-legged stool. And it just brings me joy to help people move past grief, especially to help their hearts heal and to empower them to know that everything they need is already inside them. So the more I've done it, the more I want to do it. I think I told you this too. We had a conversation the other night, my husband and myself, about what would you do if money was no object, if education was no object? And I said I would do exactly what I'm doing now. I find so much joy in what I do and how I'm able to do it that I wouldn't change a thing no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate the notion of if I could do anything, what I do, I'd do this. Mm-hmm. I feel like, it may remove some of the, I don't know. I don't think it will, because I think as humans we go through it, but it may remove some of the ego triggered obstacles that I feel I am up against. But I would still absolutely do this. And it's humbling. Like me, I enjoy it, and I'm humbled, like to be able to sit in a space and have somebody share with me that, you know what, I get to understand this differently. And they have that aha moment, or they see themselves the way that I get to witness them. And they have that, wow, I just like hand over fist, I would do it again.
It's all about that moment, right? Because it does happen in most, if not all, readings where someone just kind of has that click. You see that light turn on, and you see that empowerment and that permission for them to be them uniquely and divinely. I live for that. That's a little ego. I get really excited when I see that.
Absolutely. Well, and that could be actually one of the topics we discuss. And I actually am going to write that down, or else I will forget. Talking about the fact that ego is not bad. Ego gets this reputation of being awful and bad.
Right. I think ego keeps us real.
Absolutely. The ego facilitates so much in our life. The ego helps take what the soul is looking to do and makes it happen. So there's a balance that happens there. So, and you talked about the balance before. So just to introduce my journey a little bit, it's funny because so many people, like you said, I've done this since I was a child. I was, connected to spirit when I was a child, and I can look back and reflect on times that I had those moments, but I didn't truly start connecting to spirit or divine energy and to my intuitive spiritual gifts until probably about a decade ago. So I've been on this path for about, I'd say a decade, maybe 11 years now. And I got into meditation because of migraines and insomnia, and I needed something to refocus me. And it opened me up to this whole side of myself that I didn't know was there. And it's been a beautiful journey since then. And I had this profound experience where I got to connect to this young man in spirit, and I got to help his soul find peace. And it was profound and exciting, and kind of kicked off my journey. And since then, I've enjoyed the notion of helping people connect to their soul and navigating life. And it's been an adventure to navigate how that looks for me. Like the guided meditations that I started creating for myself because I needed that guidance in order to meditate. I couldn't meditate any other way. The intuitive readings really helped find a platform for all of the imaginings in my mind and all of the thoughts and emotions that were happening inside of me to find an avenue and a way for me to understand it. So then it led to understanding myself and my spirituality and offering a platform and a safe space for others to do that as well. And it brought me to you and this space and this work and to that beautiful moment we were just talking about where we get to help people with that. So,
I wrote it down. I wanted to say something about that. First of all, I didn't know that about you and the migraines, and that's what brought you to meditation. So even I'm learning something here. I love that. But when you talked about how exciting it was for you to help other people and feel their energy, it brought up the notion of that equal energy exchange. Yep. And how it's not ego to receive that joy in giving someone else joy. It's a give and take for both of it. So I just loved it.
Yes.
Gave me the warm and fuzzies.
Absolutely. I apologize. My light has shifted. So if there's a glare, I apologize. But it's this beautiful sunlight that's happening. But I love, and I think that equal energy exchange, that also gets to be a topic we discuss at some point in time, because that equal energy exchange creates a balanced platform where we can connect to that truth and that light and that divine understanding in a more deeper and profound way. Yeah. And that's both for the individual coming to the table for the service and the individual coming to the table to provide the service. Yeah. And as we grow through our intuitive gifts and as we connect to our own spirituality, that equal energy exchange changes. And even if you're not looking to do this as a service, even if you're not looking to get into this professionally, me and Danielle both felt drawn to get into it professionally. But if you're like, I don't want to do this professionally, I just want to understand myself on a spiritual level, then that gets to be your thing. But the energy exchanges that you have in life help create a solid platform for you to experience that spirituality, whatever it is for you. So if you, sometimes when the energy exchange isn't equal, it starts to ruffle against us on purpose. And I think that it's empowering to understand what equal energy exchange means and how that looks and why it's important.
And how receiving is necessary.
Absolutely. That's a big lesson for myself and a lot of people.
It's a huge lesson. I talk about this a lot in my readings, and I'm always saying, I feel like you give, and you have a lot of trouble receiving, and everybody's like, yep, that's me, 100%. Again, you're not alone. Lots of people have trouble receiving, but in order for energy to flow and abundance to flow, we need to be able to give as well as receive.
And I think that's one of the beautiful things that I've learned in giving readings more often and supporting people in their spirituality is that as much as it's an individual expression, and then we each get to experience that in the way that works best for us, there also are topics and themes universally that everybody is going through, like that ability to receive. And how many times have we received the same message for 4 people within a week, and you realize, wow, this is something that universally we are working through. And I love that that's on both levels.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we've discussed a lot. We've shared with them a little bit about ourselves. We've talked about some goals and intentions as to what we want to do. Shall we do what we do best and pull cards and discuss what they mean for us?
Yes, let's. And I am going to pick up the one I dropped because I drop them all the time. There we go. That's why I never take jumpers out of the deck, because I am throwing cards like you wouldn't believe.
That's one of those things. I love that you don't have to figure out how that fits, because you just know that that's just not your thing.
No, because they're all over the floor when I'm trying to shuffle. I have little hands, and decks are usually quite large. So what deck do you have with you today?
I'm actually working with the Divine Abundance deck by Tasha Silver.
Ooh.
And it's one of my new decks, and it's one of my favorites. And they're all my favorites, but I really appreciated working with this the past few weeks. One thing that I want to talk about with cards, for me individually, I work with cards because it helps to provide me focus within my readings. I personally don't read tarot. Danielle is very talented with tarot. But I find that when I cast my intuitive net, I cast a very wide net, and the cards help focus the energy that I'm picking up, so that I can move down a specific path, so that I'm not picking up 5 different paths and not making sense. So it also helps to focus me in my own spirituality. So I use them just as much for myself in my meditations and my journaling as I do for my clients. So that's why I use cards.
So I just want to add to that and say ditto. However, I am the exact opposite, as you know, where I can focus on one thing. And so when I look at a card, it will bring so much more, the imagery, the colors, the numbers, things will trigger something inside of me, a memory, a thought, and that helps me widen my net. So see, we're very, very different.
I love that. And I love that we get to, I love how that works. Love how that works. So how are we doing this? Are we each drawing a card and we're each reading the card that we draw, or are you reading yours and I'm reading mine?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, read. Well, how about you read yours, and if I have anything to add, I will, and I'll read mine. And if you have anything to add, which I would find very interesting because of the deck I'm using, then I would love to hear that as well.
Okay. All right. So when I sit down to do a reading, if it's in person, I'll have the individual pull the cards. If it's virtual, either I will pull them for them or I'll ask them to pick from a couple. So I'm just going to pull from over here on the right-hand side. And I feel like this card is offering us some guidance for our forward motion. Energetic clearing. So automatically the red in this card, the idea of the energetic clearing and the butterflies and the transformation and the green nurturing and how she's opening up her heart and she's opening up, like if you can see, she's like a little green, beautiful woman down there. I feel like this card honors all that we have worked on clearing within our life lately. There's a lot that we are shifting and moving energetically, both within our spirit, but also within our life, within our day-to-day life. And this honors the work that we are doing, and it offers us encouragement moving forward, trusting in that empowerment and our ability to create transformation in our life, trusting in the abundance that's available to us, and allowing ourselves, reminding ourselves to nurture what our heart is telling us and where our heart is guiding us, to nurture those changes that you're looking to make, and to nurture the ability to clear away what no longer serves us. Just to honor her work with this deck, at the bottom, she has a little prayer of inspiration. This one says, during crisis, the Holy One herself may be emptying you of fear and attachments, preparing you to receive her luminous plan. So this reminds us, as we are clearing these things out, we are releasing all that no longer serves us. It may not be comfortable and it may feel like we are moving through the shadow or the energetic crisis, but it's important for us to trust that there's a purpose for it and that we are making room to welcome in more light, more love, and nurturing that highest good for us moving forward. Trust that it's not going to last forever and stay focused on the movement forward, the hope and the joy and the happiness that you get to experience in life.
Boom. I love it. When I saw that, I love everything you said. I was like listening to every breath, every word. When I saw that, I started to think about what I did here in my home office area with the energetic cleaning. I went through and legit physically cleaned everything, and it needed it, and got rid of some things in here that was providing stagnant energy, things I wasn't using, things that didn't bring me joy anymore. And I have a salt lamp, a diffuser, and a fountain going to provide energy flow in this space all the time. So I wanted to clear the energy and build the energy of my business. And that's what I did in this home office space. So clearing energy is very, very important moving forward. I love that.
I love how you bring it to that actual physical process of clearing your space, because I forget to bring it down to that level. But I have a salt lamp next to me. I have my salt stone, which I hold to help clear my energy, honor the intention of clearing my energy. And recently I've been going through my closet, which is right over there, and really going through and getting rid of a lot of stuff that I simply do not need anymore. And it felt so freeing and opening. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm making space for more. I'm eliminating the energetic clutter around me to make space so things can flow better. So thank you for that.
Well, I want to push that one step farther and let people know just how different our unique divine expressions are, because I was going to say the very physical aspect is the Capricorn in me. However, for those of you that do not know, not only are Caryn and I both Capricorn, we both share the exact same birthday. Mine is just a little before hers, but the exact same birthday. And she is very much the spiritual, energetic first, physical after, and I am very much the physical first, spiritual and energetic after. And they're both okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is a perfect thing, that we don't have to let something like our sign or, our horoscope or astrological profile to determine what we do and what we say and how we feel. But it can accent and support what we already say, what we already do, and what we already feel. So I love the way you clarify that. Thank you very much. Very cool.
All right. So, like you, when I am doing a reading in person, I have the person in front of me pull cards. When I'm doing it online, I will shuffle, have them tell me when to stop. And when I have like cartomancy playing cards, if I'm doing that during the reading, I will say, I have 53 cards in my hand. I want you to pick 3 numbers, and they will randomly give me numbers. But when I'm pulling like this, just for a group and asking what we need to know, I like to just take the cards and let them drop. And I pick the one on top, and there it is. Oops.
Cool.
So, oh, I forgot to say, this is from my own personal deck that I had made out of my own photography. So each, I know, every time I use it, I get a little excited again. But each one of these photographs, each one of these cards brings back a memory for me, means something special for me. However, when I look at them, sometimes I will get something completely different. So it's always an adventure for me as well. So I don't know how well you can see this card. It is at sunset, so it's kind of hard to see. But this is our friend's beautiful daughter, probably about 10 years ago, when she was playing on the beach. So for me, this very much is a reminder to have fun with whatever you're doing, especially, yes, you are allowed, you have my permission, not that you need mine, give yourself permission to have fun, enjoy, celebrate, and embrace the good things, even when the things around you seem a little more fear-based. It's okay to live your life and live your joy and play with no agenda. That's something that we talk about often. Caryn reminds me that I don't always need an agenda. I don't always have to have a finished product at the end of my play. We could just let loose, build sandcastles, play like no one's watching, and just have a good time doing it. And I feel like, see, here we go, in this picture too, look at the way her hands are raised up to the sky with that divine connection, and her feet are sinking into the sand with that earthly connection. This baby's balanced. I just love her. Yeah, I love this picture. I love everything about her and that message that I feel for it today.
Absolutely. So a couple of things that I pulled first, if you don't mind me sharing a couple of things that I picked out, I automatically connected to the idea of how that joy, that happiness bring balance into our life, that it balances that we can sometimes get pigeonholed into working through the shadow or processing the muck or just getting all the work done. And that it, over the past few years, it has shifted where joy, happiness, become something that we implement throughout the work to provide that balance. Yeah. And I love that she's reaching to the sky. The pale yellow and the pale peaches, that peach always reminds me to welcome joy again. And I just loved the simplicity of it. Like when you showed it to me, I wanted to take a deep breath and sit back and listen to her play. The idea of simple joys really felt powerful to me in that. Thank you. And I loved your interpretation of that. Thank you.
I love that too. You know, I always say springtime comes around, and I always say the same thing to my husband. That's one of my favorite sounds. And he's like, what? I'm like, can't you hear the children playing? You know, when you get to open your windows for that first time and the breeze comes in and carries with it the voice of play.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they, even in the birds, because we don't necessarily live close by to hear unless it's our kids outside playing. But the birds and nature and all of that is very much a playful thing. So very cool. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Very cool. So any other notes? I actually wrote down a couple of different topics. The idea that I think it would be fun sometime to go over cartomancy and have you showcase that a little bit, to talk about tarot and to showcase some of the cards that we use in life. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, any topics you would like to hear more on, if there's a card deck you would like us to explore or something, yes, absolutely.
Any myths you want busted, because I am happy to bust them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any myths you want busted, please share with us. And after asking for them to take action and to connect with us and to share us what they want, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Divine Clarity. Make sure it's the one in Westbrook, Connecticut, and not in Canada. It's metaphysical store. My website is divine-clarity.com, and I'm also on Instagram at divine_clarity.
Very cool. And we will hopefully work on sharing that within our podcast information. Admittedly, I have to say, I'm not exactly sure how and where to share that, but we'll work on sharing that.
I don't know at all.
You can find me at uniquebeautyandmeditation.com, as well as Unique Beauty and Meditation on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I have a link tree in the links of my bio in Instagram and on Facebook that you can explore that has kind of a collection of all the new stuff. So reach out to us. Let us know.
Hold on one second, because I don't think you mentioned jewelry at all.
Oh, that's right. I do. I've made a bunch of jewelry for Christmas, so now I've kind of stepped away from taking a hiatus from that for just a little bit. So that's why it's not to the forefront. But I do also, on my website, I do offer a unique collection of intention jewelry or affirmation jewelry. The idea that each piece gets to mean something for us and honor and celebrate the energy we want to welcome into your life. So if you go to the website, you can check out the shop. You can find a bracelet. I don't actually have one on, but I work with a lot of different beads and a lot of different stones, and I have some necklaces that I make. So check that out. We can create a piece custom for you as well. So thank you for reminding me of that.
You're welcome.
Very cool. So any other thoughts or questions?
For me, I'm good.
Okay. So there we go. Let us know what you think, and have a beautifully, uniquely divine week.